This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Unfinished Business, Part 17. When we left off, Q saw Michael singing in the church choir during 8 a.m. service, and the resemblance was unmistakable. When he called LJ to confront him, he asked him to be patient. But when LJ got to the house, he had a conversation with Angela and Regina that Q overheard through the intercom system. As a result, Q left the property enraged. The Queen Mother and Pops Andy saw Michael singing in the choir as well during the 11 a.m. service, and LJ was left no other choice but to tell them everything, or almost everything. Pops Andy said, Donovan told us that he did a test and that he saw the results and it wasn't his or Q's. This doesn't make any sense. LJ said, Pops, Donovan never saw the DNA results. He took Amora's word for it. But he knew he could be the father. He just pretended like he didn't know. Pops Andy said, then we need to get a hold of those results. The Queen Mother said, no, we don't. I just need to touch that boy. LJ said, it's way more complicated than that, y'all. Amora needed anybody other than Roderick to be the baby's father. But she didn't need Donovan to know either way. So even though he provided a sample, she never took the baby to provide one. So there is no test. Donovan doesn't even realize that that envelope he tore up was the letter from the DNA place telling him that the baby was never tested. Amora had no idea that Donovan requested the results. She didn't take the baby because she had to make sure there wasn't any proof, one way or the other. She called Donovan, told him that he wasn't related to the baby, and then she moved and cut off all contact with him. Regina said, so you mean to tell me we still don't know whose damn baby this is? Queen Mother said, Andy, take me to that church now. LJ said, oh boy. Regina said, I know that's right, Queen Bella. Go handle business. You want me to come? Queen Bella said, no, baby. I got it. Her and Pops Andy headed out, and then Angela called Q. She looked up at her friends and said, it went straight to voicemail. I think he blocked me. LJ, call him, please. LJ wrapped his arms around her and said, Shotty, that man needs space. Give him some time. When Miss Brenda brought Melissa home, she ran to the guest house to see Q, and Angela had to go and get her. When Melissa asked where Q was, Angela told her that he needed to get out of the house for a while, but all of his stuff was there, so he would be back. Melissa sat by the window, waiting for Q's return, breaking Angela's heart. Miss Brenda took Angela to the side and said, what happened? Angela told Miss Brenda everything that happened at the house that morning, and Miss Brenda said, oh, that explains what happened at the church. Miss Brenda then proceeded to tell Angela about the Queen Mother and Pops Andy's visit to the Salvation Center of Dallas. Girl, when they arrived, the youth pastor was up preaching. Bella entered the sanctuary, spotted Amora, made a beeline for her, and then dragged her out of the sanctuary. When Pastor Corey saw that, he got down off the pulpit and ran out of there behind them. Angela said, what? The Queen Mother made a scene during service? Miss Brenda said, I wouldn't call it a scene. You had to know the players to know what it was that was happening. Angela said, oh, okay. Miss Brenda said, because it was Youth Sunday, we had all of the children who had participated in service sitting in the first few rows, so I had a bird's eye view, baby. Amora's son was in my group. Next thing I knew, Pastor Corey came and got him from me. Angela said, what? Miss Brenda said, mm-hmm. About 15 minutes later, Pastor Corey came back, whispered something to Deacon Davis, and then Deacon Davis did the benediction and the altar call. Pastor Corey never came back. Neither did Amora or Michael. She said, and you know, we had the little celebration after church was over. So Pastor Corey came in and he spoke briefly with the children and their parents, and then he got missing again. When it was all over, I brought Melissa home. I still didn't know what was going on. Angela said, well, now you do. Miss Brenda said, I'm going to have to call Bella and find out what happened. But before Miss Brenda could do that, Angela's phone rang. When she checked the caller ID, It was the Queen Mother. Angela said, Miss Bella, is everything okay? The Queen Mother said, Baby, it will be. Listen to me. We don't know what my son overheard. But if he overheard even half of what LJ told us, it's completely understandable why he reacted the way that he did. It was impulsive and emotional, but understandable. Wouldn't you agree? Angela said, But I don't understand why he wouldn't allow us to explain. Miss Brenda said, He's hurt and he's angry. He's going to need some time to digest all of this. And he's going to need to hear the truth sooner rather than later. Angela said, But I called him and it went straight to voicemail. I can't tell him the truth if he won't listen. The Queen Mother said, It's not your truth to tell, baby. It's Amora's. Angela said, But he's not upset with her. He's upset with me and LJ and Regina. The Queen Mother said, That's misdirected anger, honey. And when he gets the truth and he's able to digest it, he'll realize that. Angela said, So what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Where is he? When is he coming back? Is he coming back? The Queen Mother said, I don't know where he is, baby. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Y'all are going to have to work through this. I know my son, though. And no, he's not going to come back. And you need to prepare yourself for that. I understand that he wrote you letters about his life and his experiences in his previous relationships. Don't just pay attention to what he wrote. Pay attention to what he didn't write. If he wants to run, you gotta let him. You keep doing what you've been doing. Take care of your children. Take care of yourself. And focus on your assignment. Live your life, baby. Don't let my son and his drama turn your life upside down. I'll handle him. Believe me. That night, Angela had to fight with Melissa to complete her bedtime routine. When Melissa insisted that she be allowed to FaceTime Q, Angela finally negotiated with her. If Melissa would complete her routine, then Angela would allow her to use her iPad. But Angela was secretly afraid that Q wouldn't answer. She thought to herself, if this man hurts my daughter after all she's lost, I'ma push that damn wheelchair off a cliff. When Melissa had showered and gotten ready for bed, read books with Angel, and said her prayers, Angela allowed her to FaceTime Q. Thank God, he answered. Angela could only see Melissa's side of the conversation as she was signing to Q, but she could tell that whatever he said appeased Melissa. Angela tried to grab the iPad before the call was disconnected, but she was too slow. When she asked Melissa what Q said, Melissa told her that he said he was proud of her, she did a great job, and that he loved her. He promised that he would see her soon, and even if it wasn't for a few days, to know that he hadn't left her. Angela tucked Melissa into bed and then headed downstairs for her nightly cup of tea with Miss Brenda. Miss Brenda looked up at Angela, and before Angela could even drop a tear, Miss Brenda said, don't you even start that. You know exactly how that man feels, and you know why. You don't get to make this about you, Angela. Q's whole and entire world has been turned upside down, and you knew that that would happen because you knew you couldn't say a word. Angela said, but that doesn't make this feel any better. Miss Brenda said, and did you do what was right, baby? Angela said, yes, but Miss Brenda said, then stand on it. We don't get to fall apart when the rubber hits the road. We can't save the people that we love from life. That's not how this works. That's not what he needs right now. That's not what you need. Tell me something, Angela. Why was Gideon threshing wheat in a wine press? Angela said, really? Right now? You want to talk about Bible stories? Miss Brenda said, this is the time that we usually do our nightly Bible study. What, you thought something was going to change? Angela said, so I guess I'm never going to get a loving, motherly pep talk from you, huh? Miss Bella said, this is the loving, motherly pep talk, baby. Now you have a seat while I make this tea. And you tell me about one of the most famous cowards that God turned into a mighty warrior. Angela then read Judges chapter 6 out loud. By the time she was done, There wasn't an ounce of self-pity left in her. She looked at Miss Brenda and said, "Thank you so much for loving me enough to not allow me to wallow in despair." Miss Brenda said, "You're welcome, baby. I love you. And I need you to promise me something. Promise me that while you get to be sad and you get to miss him and you get to be disappointed in the way that he's handling this, that you won't allow yourself or your flesh to lead you, and you'll rely on God through this and all things. Remember, the king's heart is in God's hands." At that moment, Angela's phone rang. When she looked down at the caller ID, she didn't recognize the number. When she answered, she said, "Hello?" On the other end of the phone, she heard a woman's voice say, "Angela, this is Veronica. Listen, I know that you and I have had our differences. I offended you greatly, and for that, I apologize. The fact that you still allowed me on your property after the way that I handled you and didn't try to prevent me from having access to Q, despite my threats, showed me just what kind of woman you are. So, I just didn't feel right not letting you know that Q called me and asked me to pick him up from your house, and I didn't know what was going on, so I did. He's here, asleep in my guest room. Nothing is going on. He told me what happened, and I'm trying to talk to him about it, but he's really upset. I'm calling you because I didn't want you to be worried all night long about where he was and if he was okay. He has his medicine, a few pieces of clothing, and some exercise bands, but that's all he brought with him. I don't know if he's planning to come back there or not, and I really don't want you to tell him that I called you." Angela said, "Veronica, I appreciate it sincerely, and I accept your apology, and I won't tell him." Veronica said, "Now, me and you not friends, so don't expect for me to be calling you with no blow by blow." Angela started chuckling and said, "That's fine, sweetheart. I'm going to leave it in God's hands."